Some brands are legendary. In every category, someone sets the standard, and some companies create raving fans. Join Scott Wozniak and Caitlin Johnson of Swaz Consulting as we dig into the tactics and tools behind great organizations. How did the legends do it? And how can you become a legendary brand too?
All right, Scott. So today, I was actually going through your book, Make Your Brand Legendary, because I was working on creating a tailored training for one of our clients. And I had opened the book and landed on page 72, where there were questions to consider at the end of each of your chapters. And this one happened to be questions to consider for customer insights. Yeah. And I was just going through them, and one just kind of caught my eye because there were some quotations around the word firing. And so the question was, who is not your customer? Who should you feel free to say no to as a customer? And I got to pause right there, because even in customer service, there's that idea of your customers are always right. Right. So how are you saying no? And then the last question in that was, are there any customers you should consider, in air quotes, firing? Can you tell me more about the thought here? Because it sounds counterintuitive with how we should do customer service and customer experience.
Totally get. We're the customer experience folks, right? Like customer's always right, and we make everybody happy, and we want all. And from a business standpoint, like, don't you always want more customers, right? Why would you say no to a sale? Like, this doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah, no, if you want raving fans, you can't have everybody under the sun be your customer. I'm trying to think of any product or service that would be like a great, like everybody could be a raving fan of. And I'm struggling to come up with anything.
Well, first of all, when you said raving fans, like my eyes just went huge. And I was like, oh, you had me at Raving Fans. Like, now I get it. Now I get it a little bit more, but because I work with you and what you have, your experience and whatnot.
But that's this key. Like, we're not just after generic people who pay us money. We want a particular kind of relationship, right? We want this high value connection where they're like, these guys have quality. We really trust their quality. And man, we have a personal connection to them. We like them. They like me. And man, I feel awesome about myself when I hang out with those guys, or when I buy that stuff or use the tool or whatever. Like, that is a very special relationship, which makes us a lot of money and gets us a chance to have a lot of impact and all this stuff. But that also means it's not necessarily something everybody wants or is in a position in their life to do or engage in. And so it's, this is a classic people pleaser trap. And I'll confess, I have struggled with people pleasing in my life.
I have too.
I mean, no, it's wrong. I've been a jerk at times too, right? But but there've been many, many times when probably more often have I been tempted to let things slide and not hold the line and kind of give in and do stuff I don't really want to do because I want them all to like me. And here's what you find. If you're pleasing everybody, the only way to make there's nobody mad at you, is to be as completely generic, boring, and unremarkable as possible.
Why does Walmart come to mind?
Yeah. Kind of empty, soulless, and gray, and nobody cares positively or negatively.
Right.
Now, listen, I, as a recovering people pleaser, right, I would love for everybody in the world to be my raving fan. Like, that would be my dream come true. But here's what I know: if I make raving fans of some people, the people who aren't like them are going to not like it. It's not going to be right for them. It's going to be a misfit. It's funny. We were just talking in a recent episode about the hiring part of this process.
Yes, we were.
And we were saying similar deal. Like, the kind of people who would love this environment, if somebody's not that kind of person, they're not going to love that kind of environment.
Right. Don't hire
them. Hey, guys, you don't need every customer in the world to know you and like you. In fact, so we talk about Chick-fil-A a lot with my background, right? But I think this one is just such an interesting example, because I remember Truett Cathy So when I came, Truett was still working with the company.
Okay.
Still chairman, showing up at the office. I got to do some trips with him and really remarkable experience.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
So Truett was adamant. I don't care if everybody in our markets know us, everybody in the country knows, let alone the world. I don't care. I just care that our customers who do come are raving fans. I would
Hmm.
much rather have a smaller group of people who are raving fans than a large group of people who don't have strong emotion for us. That was his 50 years ago. That was his deliberate, intense strategy. Our whole company is for, I don't care if we have a lot of them. I care if
Yeah.
they really love us.
How
Um,
interesting.
and at first, he made less money than other chains that did big generic blasts, right? Uh,
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think I got to a Chick-fil-A until college. And
mhm.
well, I mean, that's maybe 20 years ago for me, but yeah, it didn't boom. I didn't know about Chick-fil-A.
Now, as of the time of this recording, Chick-fil-A's on track to be 23, maybe even 24 billion in sales this year.
Wow.
They McDonald's and them are actually now neck and neck for who's the number one fast food in the US. Now, McDonald's
What?
Global's a whole other beast. Chick-fil-A is just starting its international journey, but in the
Mm.
US, Chick-fil-A is knocking on that door, and at current course and speed, they're growing much faster than McDonald's. If not this year, next year for sure, they'll be the biggest fast food in the US. It's because they're raving fans, bring them raving
Hmm.
fans who bring them raving
Hmm.
fans, and this exponential growth. Guys, you do not need everybody. You need raving fans. And if you're playing the long game, they will be far more valuable in the long run. And in the short run, by the way, maybe you'll now this one I get. I've run a small business, done all this multiple times, right? We've grown and
Right.
grown, but man, I remember when every single client was like, "Oh, I really need that money. Like, what do we do?"
Right. In the beginning, when you're building, you say yes to it all.
Yeah. I guess what I'm actually not going to say you should say no and only take the perfect clients when you're getting started. Like, I get it.
Okay.
You're exploring, you're learning. You might not realize who's a good fit for you at this point.
That is fair.
Now, I was too broad,
Hmm.
but I think you could also be too narrow. I've seen that. That was
Okay,
not my
so
mistake.
differentiating line here. If you are starting out, would you put a time period to that, like 0 to 5 years, zero to
I would,
10
great question. I think I would put more of a volume line than
volume?
a time
Okay,
line. I'll put it this way. If you're still at a point where saying no to a customer means you can't make your bills this month,
okay, that's a good barometer test. Yep.
then you
Hmm.
might want to suck it up and have some unpleasant customers that you serve. They're Listen, everybody's lovely and God loves us all, but that doesn't mean we're the right fit, right? And so
Hmm. Hmm.
it's a grind. Come on, you've had these customers. Your listeners, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the
They
ones that
tend to,
ask for everything.
yes, they're high
Yes.
demand and you're never happy and they're
Hmm.
complaining and they 80% of your headaches come from like these 10% of your customers. I mean,
Right.
they're the problem children, right? The squeaky wheels always
Hmm.
shouting for grease and it now they pay you, but what you got to do for that is just disproportionately different than everyone else.
Yeah,
If you
costs
need
more
that money,
emotionally.
volume wise, right? Like think about your
Mm.
bills and your kind of staff costs or location costs or whatever your operational costs are. If you need a customer to stay in line, cash is king. Cash is like oxygen in a business, right? It doesn't matter if you have a bunch of oxygen coming 20 minutes from now. If you don't have any oxygen today, you won't make it to that 20 minutes, right? If 90
It's
days
true.
from now, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
If you have no cash, you're in trouble. You need enough oxygen to just breathe. Well, by that measure too, if you're just thinking operationally, like having 100 extra oxygen this month, as long as I have enough, it doesn't actually matter on the short term, right?
Hmm.
And this is
Hmm.
where the analogy breaks down because I can take money long term and invest it, and it is a good thing to have extra money and extra oxygen
Yes.
can help.
True.
So if
True.
you need the cash, you can keep difficult customers in the short term.
Hmm.
When you
Okay.
get to a certain volume and you're like, actually, we love the
Hmm.
extra cash. It has impact. I mean, it's always there's like it matters, but it's not like I can't survive without it. And by the way,
Hmm.
business strat, like if you don't know, if you're an entrepreneur starting out and you don't have a hard number that you know this is my bare minimum, I got to hit this, and like ABCs, you got to know that. It has to be a real
Mhm.
number that you know. And it's like life sucks, but I can make it that number, right? It's like not my
Right.
dream,
Yeah.
but I can make it. I'm paying
Yes.
my mortgage, the electricity
All
bill.
the essentials. Right.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. My
Bottom line of
fundamental.
Maslow's hierarchy.
Yes, yes. I'm maybe not taking the vacation I want. And that maybe we're eating a lot more ramen, but
Yeah.
to live on this level, if you don't
Okay,
know
let
that
me go
number,
off script for a minute.
yeah.
In college, I used to eat ramen and hot dogs together.
Yes, yes. And one of my friends taught me in college how to like sprinkle cinnamon and other things on top to make us feel like we're eating fancier ramen. Oh yeah, we were big
I
time.
have tears in my eyes right now. Yeah,
Oh,
that's when you don't say no to your clients yet,
yes.
right? When you're
Thank
eating
you.
hot dogs and ramen.
And you listen, suck it up and learn. You'll have some great client stories to tell someday. But then there comes the point where you're like, I'm surviving and we're going to the next level. And the mistake I made that I've seen a lot of people make is I keep growing by more and more junk clients. And I say junk clients, you
Mm,
know what I mean? Like they're not the right
the
fit.
difficult, challenging ones. Yeah.
Now there's two types of bad clients. Like let's get a little
Okay.
right. There's the clients who truly what they value and care about is not what you're best at. And so what
Oh,
they want out of you is stuff that's really not
sure.
hard for you. It's exhausting. I mean, I'll give you one example. So now we are, this is not true of SWAS now, but now
Mm-hmm.
we've got this robust team with all these different skill sets and excellence. But when I was just starting, it was Scott Wozniak, right? I was
Mm-hmm.
the whole company.
Yes.
And I am really good at some things and really bad at other things. Like
Okay.
all humans, right? We
Right.
want to talk
Right.
ideas and strategy. You want to design something. Oh, I'm your guy. I got ideas coming
Mm-hmm.
out my ears, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
I can't keep up with my own ideas. Like, oh, I just somebody write that down. I got
Yeah.
another idea.
Big picture
Um,
ideator.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to talk about like catching lots of details and managing a
Mm-hmm.
complex system with a routine where every week we run through the same thing again and again. So when I came to work for Chick-fil-A, they sent me to go run a restaurant. I went through
Okay.
franchisee training, did a whole bunch of stuff, and then like went and ran a restaurant for a few months and then came
Mm-hmm.
back. They said, listen, we just because I had no restaurant
Get the
experience at that
experience.
point. Like,
Sure.
yeah, we just
Yeah.
want you to know this
Understand what
world.
our customers want and need,
Yep.
live it. Mm-hmm.
You're going to consult to us and help us build this. Like we should, the character chemistry competence, see that previous
Mm-hmm.
episode. I had no restaurant competence. So yeah, we could teach you that stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so I went and ran a restaurant. Caitlin, I got very good results. I actually got a top 20% award thing.
Oh, nice. Look at
And it
you. Yeah.
sucked the life out of me. I
Mm.
was not wired to run a restaurant. I have massive amount of respect for the men and women who run those restaurants with excellence
Mm-hmm.
because I managed to do it. And I
Right.
came back and people later on like, man, have you ever thought about being a franchisee? They make good money. It's a great
And
life.
you're
Some of
like,
my best friends are those
no.
guys. And I was like,
Yeah.
heck no, heck no.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You do not want me running a restaurant. Trust me. I hate routine. Like some people like variety. I need variety. So I found
Okay.
myself
Mm-hmm.
like trying to make up errands to get me out of the restaurant. Like I
Mm-hmm.
wait, it looks like you might be running out of folders soon. I'm gonna run to Office Depot and buy you some extra manila
Oh,
folders.
that's
Like
funny, Scott.
I'm the franchise, like I wasn't actually franchisee, but I was running the joint as an interim for the like I
Mm-hmm.
run this restaurant and
Right.
I'm like desperate to go. This is not a high value activity, Scott, right? Like
Someone say delegate that, but
thank you.
you were
And it's not
delegating it to
hard.
yourself.
I
Yeah.
I knew it when I was driving to the Office Depot, Kate. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should, but I cannot sit in that one small space and crank out another thousand because that's what they need. They need
Yeah.
people who can crank out 1,000 sandwiches and then make
Mm-hmm.
a tiny bit better and crank out another 1,000 sandwiches and just love the constant precision, tactical.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love designing it, and then you don't want me running. So okay,
Yeah.
I say that say like, listen, we're not all a right fit for there are people who wanted me to like so you could do this kind of work. We'd pay you a lot of money to come run our tactical. Oh, I know. I know what it's
Yeah.
like when I try to run your tactical program. You don't want me doing that.
Right.
But
Right.
I have said yes in the early days to be like, you'll pay me money to be your project manager and check in on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'll do
Yes.
that. Oh, that was the
Oh no.
worst 9 months, Caitlin.
Oh no.
Client got everything they wanted, and
Yeah.
I was like sucked dry.
Exhausted.
The life and
Yes.
joy of my soul, right?
Burnt. out. Oh, such a good point though on the
Okay.
misfit part.
Then,
Hmm.
especially for entrepreneurs, there's another misfit. This is the client who cares and loves you, and they just are not in a position to pay. They're
Oh,
insecure, but it's not insecure emotionally. Their
yeah.
finances are, maybe a better word is inconsistent, right? Like
Okay. Okay.
they go month to month. They're not sure if they're going to have the money to pay you because things might be bad,
Right.
and they're in a troubled situation and they're struggling to get through this, and or they've got something sucking their time and energy away. They just don't have any left over to do the work with you, and so they don't do their half of the engagement right because
Hmm.
for all our work we will help you and advise you and give you tools, but at the end of the day, like our clients also have to want it and show up.
Collaborative.
Like as a
Hmm.
coach, right? We both
Hmm.
coach. You can't coach somebody who doesn't want to like actually grow and work on it. It doesn't matter
Hmm.
how good of a coach you are.
Hmm.
And they've
Hmm.
gone through chaos in their life and they just don't have anything to offer. They care, but they are not in a position to actually follow through, pay you, do the work.
Take the action.
I
Hmm.
have been like, oh, I'm going to help them and this is going to be great. And they have the same dream I do. And I pour my heart and soul out into that person, and I never got paid, and they never showed up at the end, and it all fizzled. And it's like, why did we do all this?
Right. Right.
You cannot say yes to everybody. Listen, the customer is not always right. I hate that. That is such a patronizing, mindless thing. Like, no, humans are
Hmm.
humans. Sometimes they're right,
Hmm.
sometimes they're wrong. I serve my customers. I truly do try to serve them, put their needs and goals ahead of mine, and make their life better. But sometimes serving them is saying, this is not a good relationship setup. I have literally told clients mid project, not often, but I've done it twice, where
Okay.
we should shut this project down. You are
Because
no
it just
longer.
wasn't a good fit with the
Yes.
organization
One
and
company
hmm.
went through a massive financial crisis.
Oh wow.
Total out of
Yeah.
the blue. It's a
Hmm.
whole bunch of. I won't get into long story, but they had a product that was supposed to work that didn't, and then they got a massive internal problem that blew up in a lawsuit, and like they lost a bunch of
Yikes.
money and had a bunch of expenses, and they were in crisis. And we said, you should fire us. This is not good
Mm-hmm.
for you. Serving them was saying, no, you are in a bad spot. And we keep getting, we're not doing the work you want us to do. We're spending all our time helping you deal with this crisis thing that isn't what you hired us to do. You haven't paid us in the last 2 months. Like, we just need to cancel this
Mm-hmm.
and walk
Mm-hmm.
away. And then there have been like cranky customers who
Mm.
wanted to keep paying me. And I was like, I think we're done. Thanks. But no, thanks. Your
This is so
money,
interesting. I
it's
feel like
not.
we should title this podcast When No is the Answer.
Mm,
Because I feel like there's so many books or blogs that you could find that say when yes is the answer or how to
yeah,
make
yeah.
the answer yes, right? But in this case,
Listen, every time you say yes to
mhm,
something, you're also inadvertently saying no to something else. Every bad
that's a mindset. You have to
is.
think about that.
And every
Hmm.
every misfit customer you sign up means
Hmm.
that's time and energy you don't have to go find a true fit customer who could be a
Hmm.
raving fan of you.
Hmm.
You are committing time and effort. And again, if you want to eat something other than ramen, okay, pay the price, right? With
Hmm.
any margin, put that margin into getting more raving fans, not more misfit customers. You end up grinding for people who really are never going to be able to be the kind of customer who buys more and more often, pays full price,
Hmm.
tells others to buy from you. If you want raving fans, you have to say no to people who can't become it. And it hurts in the short term. It really
Yeah.
feels scary. Like, oh, I need this. Well, if you truly
Yes.
need it, great. But if you know where your need line is and you say, okay, I don't actually need it, I'm just scared. I do it. I did it scared. Okay. And then I did not wait. It's not like I don't want to present like I'm just this marvelously spiritually mature human who's like, I had no fear.
Right.
I was
I said
terrified out of my
no.
mind.
Oh yeah.
But I also knew I had to at least give it a shot and try. And so, yeah, there
Hmm.
are, listen, I'm not going to name them, but there's a large, famous company who would love to do more work with us that I only have a minimum amount of work I will allow us to do with them because They're so high maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
I have some great friendships there. I love
Mm-hmm.
those humans. I help out
Mm-hmm.
every once in a while. I mostly limit it to myself and none of the rest of the team. I've not
Right.
put you on any of these projects
Well, thank you, Scott. Yeah.
because they are so high maintenance to work with. For
Mm-hmm.
example, most places will hire us to like come do a keynote or, hey, we're going to do this strategy session. And they're like, well, here's the topic. Can't wait to see what you do. No, this client wants to meet with me 3 times in advance, go through my slides and tell me how they would like me to change my slides
Oh,
before I do the keynote. Let's do a live practice together before you. I haven't even done anything yet. Oh, and they want to pay me half the cost. Everyone else will pay me maybe a third of the cost because they're going to add so much extra help themselves that they shouldn't have to pay what everyone else pays. I'm like,
oh my goodness.
got to be kidding
I
me.
mean,
This is worse than everybody else.
just get
I just
someone internal to do it.
thank you, thank you. So
Mm-hmm.
every once in a while, I break down and help them out, and they're lovely people. They're not jerks, but oh my
Yes.
gosh, right? Gosh, you should not build a company around clients like that who don't trust
Mm-hmm.
you to do your
Mm-hmm.
part well.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we
Mm-hmm.
do tell them in advance and we check in, but there's a level of like, you want to see, here's a sample. Great. We love it. Let's see it. Versus like, no, I want to do a live practice with you and hear you do it before you do it fully. Like, oh, we're not paying you extra for that. We're going to
Oh
charge you.
gosh.
Anyway, so
That's
I'm gonna stop
yeah.
ranting. I'm gonna stop ranting. Guys, some of you should fire some of your customers.
I really like what you had said about, when you're saying yes, what are you saying no to? And really just going back to that for a moment, because I think it's worth having people marinate a little on that saying. Because here, you're trying to take care of your customers or clients and give them the best. But then if you're saying yes to everything, what are you saying no to? And therefore compromising what you stand for as an organization, what you stand for from a value standpoint, and what the quality is of the service that you really want to give your customers and clients.
Yeah, yeah. If you actually know what you want, and this is where I think I struggled. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't clearly articulate what I wanted most of all. Like what was the dead center of the bullseye for me, right?
Okay.
And so because of that, and I'm a lot of us are this entrepreneur. They were optimistic. We see the possibilities. What could it be?
Mm-hmm.
And I could
Mm-hmm.
imagine a way everybody could turn out awesome. But until I really got clear, the unlock for me was I knew the dead center of what I actually wanted, which this is why, Caitlin, this question is at the end of the customer insight chapter. If you know who your ideal customer is,
Mm-hmm.
then it's easier to both identify when somebody's not that and
Mm-hmm.
say no because I'm clear on why. Otherwise, it was this fuzzy gut, like it's not awesome, but I think we could maybe, and I don't know. It's you got to get specific, like literally a written description. Here's what I'm looking for, and you might have 2 or 3, even 4 or 5 ideal customers based on the product line and all that what you offer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you know that, you know who your people are, you also know who your people aren't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So then when
The
you
opposite.
sign
Mm-hmm.
up for your time for somebody who isn't one of your people, that became clear to me. It's like I keep saying I want these people. Why would I say yes to a not these people?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's maybe the unlock, at least it was for me, is what allowed me to move from I vaguely knew it wasn't working. I had to get really clear on who my customer was. And then I could say, okay, this works, this doesn't work. This is why these people aren't a great fit right now. Let's talk about more of these people, not those.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose you could go about it in both ways, like identifying who do you want to serve? Who is that target audience? Or conversely, who do you not? Because
Yes.
sometimes narrowing down who you want, you getting nichey is tricky, tricky nichey.
Oh, I have a very hard time niching down. Have I told you this? When I first left and I was like, what could I do?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked me, hey, we want you to come speak at our conference. What do you talk about? And I literally sent them, I have it saved somewhere because it's so hilariously embarrassing. I sent them a 3-page Word document with single spaced list of all the talks I could give.
Oh my gosh.
I
Well,
know.
first of all, kudos for you for thinking about all those subjects that you could talk about. But
But I could not narrow it down, Caitlin.
oh,
It's like
wow.
I have to tell them every topic I have ever spoken on in my entire career. And yes, as you said, I love variety, right? Like I'm
Yes.
like, oh,
Yes.
talk on that. I'll figure that out. And I would go study
Uh-huh.
and get certified and give a talk on something. And like, yeah, if you're listening, don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't send the 3-page
Right? They
single
didn't
space. Yeah.
hire me. It's the weirdest thing, right? Like they had so many options, Caitlin. Like it
There's
could have
too
done
many
anything.
options. Yeah.
Yeah, you've
Narrow
got
the
to narrow
focus.
down, and it's hard. And
Mm.
I totally validate your comment. Like I love it. In fact, start with what you don't want to do. In fact, I'm doing this
Hmm.
with one of my kids. So my daughter's a rising senior in high school, and
Okay.
we're trying to talk about what do you want to do. And good for her. She's super talented. She's
Okay.
like a musician, captain of the sports team at school. She's the lead in one of the school plays. She got the
That's awesome.
pre-calculus math award.
Oh, whoa. Oh, an award.
I know. Like, wait, so what do you want to do? And so she's like,
Tricky
Dad,
question.
I like it all. I want to do it
Hmm.
all. Like, by the way, I totally relate to this problem. Like, I like everything too. So here's what we said. What don't you want to do? Now let's look at the opposite stuff of that. And that might be a
Okay.
good idea. What kind of customers? And this might be key if you're listening. You might be good at these customers, right? You might actually be able to deliver what they're asking for. It might just suck the soul out of you.
Oh,
It's
such a great
exhausting
point.
doing the work.
Hmm.
And of course, it could be work you don't want to do. Or the third factor is they just aren't in a position to pay you.
Hmm.
There's some customers that would love stuff we do, but they can't afford us, and we can't afford to work without them paying us, right? And so like I'm not trying to be a
Right.
jerk, but like I got folks like you want to eat, fancy ramen, right?
Yes,
Like you want to
please.
eat ramen
Yeah. You fancy ramen.
with all beef hot dogs. I mean,
I want a
like,
bratwurst this
woo,
time.
big time
Okay.
here, folks. We're living large. So I got to pay Caitlin so she can buy bratwurst, people. Like this is serious business. So as much as I love those humans, if they cannot afford to pay us enough to cover our staff and keep the lights on, we don't get to work with them. And so you do the same thing. Who can afford to pay you?
Hmm.
So all that to say, who's your ideal customer? Maybe it's who you're not,
Who do you want to fire?
and it's the opposite of that.
Hmm.
If you want more raving fans, some of you need to go kind of figure it out. But some of you, if you want more raving fans, maybe what you need to do is say no to these customers so you can ultimately say yes to more raving fans. If you enjoyed this episode, you might want to sign up for our weekly newsletter. It's all new content with the same themes. You can subscribe for free and learn more about how we partner with our clients to build legendary companies at swazconsulting.com. That's www.swozconsulting.com. And if you want to get access to the actual tools and techniques that we use with our elite consulting clients, check out our online program at legendarybrandsacademy.com. That's www.legendarybrandsacademy.com. Greatness is possible. You just have to build the right engine.